What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to our Wellspring podcast for this series, Real Life. I got a cool guest today, Fred Robbins. Dude, thank you for joining us.
Man, thanks for having me, man. It's been a long time coming. We
finally
made it happen.
Finally hooked up? No, it's going to be good. I'm excited about this conversation. So I was talking to you a little bit before the podcast. What this whole series, Real Life, is all about is taking the concepts that we hold on to as followers of Jesus. I'm a follower of Jesus.
Yes.
I want to take these concepts and how do they actually apply to things in our real life. And so we'll talk about all kinds of different things on the podcast that our folks have listened to. But today I want to talk about something a little bit different that I think you know a lot of, probably way more than me, right? So I want to talk about having a winning mindset. But just so our people get to know you a little bit better, so you are from here.
Yeah, born and raised in Pensacola.
And you have an awesome nonprofit in town called Mr. Robbins Neighborhood. Why don't you talk about that just for a second?
Okay. So I started Mr. Robbins Neighborhood when I was playing, ball with New York with the Giants. And it was always a dream and a vision of mine to come back and give back to where where I grew up. And so when I retired in 2012, when I came back home, I was really trying to just fill the void, fill the need of what kids really needed. And athletics by that time has taken a drastic change in sports. Sports had made a major shift. And so my focus was to how do I help only 1.5% of high school athletes make it to the professional ranks.
That's crazy low percentage.
Yeah, and so I had a kid tell me once, like, listen, hey, Mr. Robbins, I don't want to play sports. What else can I do? And so that kind of helped shift my vision. Like, listen, hey, the 1.5% of guys are going to make it. They have everything lined up. But what about the other 98.5% of kids that don't make it?
Yeah.
And so that's what my nonprofit really kind of helps. Like, how do we help, those other 98.5% of kids start their journey for their life that maybe don't involve sports? What other career paths can they take? What other things can they do to lead them, to go to college, even though college ain't for everyone, but other things can they, find themselves getting into? And so that's what really kind of focus on the whole education piece, tutoring, grades. I came from a family of teachers and educators, so it was always important education-wise, but also just, keeping a clean head on your shoulders.
Yeah.
It's hard now. Working with teenagers, I got to have that bridge to connect to them even at times. So
I really respect you for that because that's not my primary demographic. I don't do super well. But I feel like I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah.
And so to see you invest there, man, it's really inspiring for me. I think you used a really powerful word when you're talking about your own self and the nonprofit, like just the vision for it. And being able to walk alongside these athletes and help them see, like, man, there is so much opportunity out there for you. And you can get so kind of bottlenecked into this one, like you said, like there's only 1.5% of these kids are going on to play professional ball. Yeah. But showing them a larger vision for their life of not just what could be, but what should be.
What should be, exactly.
And that, dude, that's so special, what you're doing.
Yeah, the vision is, it comes with exposure.
Yeah.
Not too many people, my dad was born and raised here. He's in his 70s. He was blessed to go to college, but it's people his age he grew up with that never left Pensacola. So when you look at that, the exposure piece is so key because you don't know what you don't know. And so my goal is to everything that I've learned throughout my college career, all the places I've traveled, into my professional career, the people I've get to know, the relationships I've built, is just to bring all that back, to Pensacola. You know what I mean? So kids hear me tell stories, or I bring in speakers from other places. They might not have been to, North Carolina when I went to college, Wake Forest. But if I bring someone here, they have a North Carolina feel. Yeah. It makes it feel like they've been there. So exposure is the main thing I'm really just trying to get.
Yeah, just to be able to just give them that perspective.
Yes.
I had someone tell me a while ago, and I didn't fully understand it when they said it, but they said perspective is expensive. And I was like, what does that mean? And they said, well, when you don't have, like, it's expensive either way. Like, if you want to try to get a different perspective, it's going to cost you something.
Yes.
Like, it might cost you money. It might cost you denying something else that you want, some kind of investment. Like, it's going to cost you something. But if you don't do that, if you
Yeah.
don't have that perspective,
Yep.
and you try to go through life, you're going to look back and go, "Woo, that was expensive not having that. I made some dumb mistakes,
Yeah.
and that cost me."
It did,
Like
yeah.
perspective is expensive, and so, man, I love that you're invested in the community that way.
Yeah.
And you referenced your career too. Like if people don't know you, you had an incredible NFL career.
Yes. Yes.
That was really awesome. That I want to talk about too. I remember I've had just a couple conversations with some of my buddies who are like, "Yeah, I'm going to have a conversation with Fred," and they're like,
Yeah.
"Man, I remember in high school watching that guy just work, just go for it."
Yeah.
And man, you, like Hall of Fame at Wake Forest, all kinds of stuff. Like, dude, you incredible career. So I'm really fired up to just sit down
Yeah.
with you to
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about some of that stuff. Because when it comes to a winning mindset, do you feel like obviously you got the jewelry to prove like I'm a winner,
Yes.
right? Have you always had like that type of mindset of I'm going to be successful, I'm going to be a winner? Is that something that you kind of had to develop?
You know
or?
what? You can have the mindset. Everybody in the beginning, it's always easy. Once you start off, but once you get going, it's just you're going to go through trials and tribulations and roadblocks, and you just got to stay positive and continue to have that winning mindset. But you have to understand what you're getting yourself into, and a lot of it is growth. The more you do, the more you learn. You learn from other people's mistakes. And just really sticking with it, and just really surrounding yourself with the right group of people.
Yeah.
Right, and really having that foundation. My parents, they invested a lot. They worked. My dad worked 2 jobs. My mom was a teacher. But they made sure that if I had to get to practice, they found the means to do it, to really invest. And so, the times that I did feel like this is hard, or should I be doing this? I looked to see, what my parents were doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The sacrifices they were making.
Man, that's
and,
beautiful.
Yeah, and just over the years, you live and learn. You just mentioned the jury. The first thing I thought about once we won a Super Bowl, and I remember the ring ceremony when I first got the ring, I immediately thought back to the first time I ever put pads on. And I thought about all the sprints I did.
Wow.
All the workouts I did, all the times that I felt like giving up, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, in years in the making. But that's what made me, you know what I mean? And even then, you look and know that some of your teammates that came from different backgrounds, that they made their same journey with you.
Yeah.
You're right. At the same time, they were out there doing the same thing I was doing in other places across the country. So when you look back on it, man, you just really, bless and thank God, you know what I mean, that you that everything worked out.
Yeah, all that came together.
It came together. I didn't give up, and success, it will come once you keep putting the work in daily. You know what I mean? And some things you do right now, you're not going to see the benefit of until years later.
Yeah.
But you got to keep continuing to do this like a Groundhog Day. You know what I mean?
That's the hard perspective to have. That like this is going to pay off.
Yeah.
If I just stick with it, it's going to pay off. There's I'm going to give you the Brian translation. There's a passage of scripture that comes to my mind when I think about having that mindset and that idea of like, if I stick with this, there will be a benefit. Like I can win. There's a passage. It's 1 Corinthians chapter number 9. I think it's verse number 25 or 26, where Paul is talking and he says like, hey, in a race, everyone runs.
Yes.
Like everyone's running, but only one person is going to win in a race. And then he gives like this urge to that church there. He goes, run to win.
Yes.
Like run to win the race. Like and so when I think about that concept in my own life,
Yes.
like run to win. Like don't. There's other passages where he talks about like, man, I'm not shadow boxing. Like
Yes.
I'm not playing with this. I'm running to win.
Yes.
And ultimately, as a Christ follower, and in that passage, he talks about like these guys are running to win a crown, like even a piece of jewelry that you
Yes.
go, that's nice, but there it is, you
Yeah.
know. But as a Christ follower, Paul's saying, man, you run to win something that is incorruptible,
Yeah.
like that won't fade away, that has a lasting impact forever.
Yes.
Ultimately, that you get to set at the feet of Jesus, but. That idea of running to win, I think is really a message that I like to remind myself of pretty often. And when I think about like your career and even what you're doing with even some guys coming out of college getting ready for the combine, which all those guys killed it in the combine.
Yeah,
I
they
thought
did a
that
great
was
job.
awesome. And we can talk about that in a second too. But that's something I feel like it's easy to get frustrated. It's easy to struggle. And I feel like I see a lot of people even give up or abandon, some of their dreams that, might have even been like a God-given dream.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is something that's for you and for your future.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't imagine winning a Super Bowl was an easy thing.
No, not at all.
Right? But, which, by the way, we talked again off camera before it got started. Bro, to think, like, one of the best offenses ever.
I'm telling you, man.
Against the GOAT. And y'all held them to 10 points.
Yes.
In that game.
It's even to this day, it's still surreal.
Yeah. What was the mentality before the game, in that game, when you're because you knew what you guys were up against.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like you weren't. Well, no one's heard of this guy, Tom Brady. We don't know what this team is going to be like. They were dynasty at this point. And there's a lot of people that just wrote the Giants off. Like you guys aren't going to make it.
That year we did something totally different, and I think. It started back in training camp. Coach Coughlin, he had kind of, changed. He was always one of the most, football.
Oh, he was hard-nosed, man.
Gurus, hard-nosed. But, we did something totally different. Like, guys, that year, we knew each other on the field, but a lot of guys really didn't know each other well off the field. So each night, a different guy stand up and just tell the team about something about them that they don't know. Nothing sports-related at all. And what it did was it had a chance to really understand what guys go through every day.
Wow.
Guys were even venting about things that are going on back home, even in their private life. And you look at it like, wow, this guy got this going on in his life, but he's still out here every day giving his all at practice, and we kind of carried that through the whole season, like us against everybody else. And what's funny is that the last game of the season we played the Patriots and we lost by 3. And we like, man, look,
super high scoring game too.
Yeah, high scoring game. We like, man, we can play with these guys, and we made some mistakes, but you just learn from it. Then we just went on the playoff run on the road, and we beat like the top 3 seeds, back to back to back, and then we ended up playing the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But I think the key was nobody gave us a chance.
Yeah.
Nobody gave us a chance at all. I mean, I remember when we first got to Arizona, they was putting up flyers of their Super Bowl victory party already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just really fueled us a little bit
man.
more. But to beat a team like that who was undefeated, had the top offense, a great defense, you really have to play mistake-free football. You got to be smart, and I think that's what we had. We had a smart bunch of guys, and we just had to eliminate all the mistakes, and everything had to be like flawless. You know what I mean? And the only way you can do that is with teamwork.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to put all the selfish pride, all of the honors that you get selfishly, you know what I mean? You got to put that to the side and go out there and win. And Coach Coughlin tells us all the time, look, the name on the front of the jersey means a hell of a lot more than the one on the back. You know what I mean? And so we just took that mindset the whole season.
Yeah. Man, what a beautiful example of us.
Yeah.
Like I talk on this podcast, we talk at the church all the time. It's like, man, we need each other.
Yes.
Like I'm not saying that you can't be a good Christ follower by yourself, but man, that's a lonely way to do it. And there's something so special about transparent, carrying one another's burdens.
Yeah.
Like, that's a wild thing. That the thing that you pointed to said that made that year different than any other was we knew each other.
Yes.
Like we were vulnerable with each other, and that created an us mentality that ended up being unstoppable, man.
And I think that's the key. Even to have a winning mindset, you have to open up. You have to do things that's uncomfortable, right? Because you'll learn yourself better. And, not to say you just got to go tell everybody your business, but it comes to a point where, that opens up a lot more doors and it makes you a little bit more successful. And you just never know when you're having a bad day. Now I know why you're having a bad day, and now instead of me just saying, oh, man, he act like he doesn't want to be here. I know what you're going through. Now I'm going to give a little bit more. I'm going to push myself a little bit more to kind of make up that slack because I know you're going through so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so playing sports and having a winning mindset is not always about you.
Yeah.
You know, it's always about your teammates and who else, you're out there, trying to win for.
Dude, beautifully said. Having that empathy for someone that you're trying to accomplish something with, to go like, bro, that beautiful say, I know what you're struggling with. I get it.
Yeah.
And instead of saying, get your crap together,
Yeah.
which sometimes I need that message. You know what I mean? So like if you see me bumming around in the gym, you can be like, bro, come on, pick it up.
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong, that's good.
Yeah.
But man, there's something special to being like, I'm gonna be there for you. Like, man, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And for me, that's my dream for the family that we're building at Wellspring. Is that like, man, I think church is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I think God's idea for it was to love one another. Yeah. Because that's what Jesus said. He goes, hey, this is how people know that you're my disciple. Like you're my follower. Yeah. Is that you love each other. Yeah. Like you're there for each other.
Exactly.
And dude, that's a beautiful example that you have there with that team. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. You also do some really cool stuff. I referenced it a second ago. You had some guys at the combine.
Yes.
So tell me about this training program that you do, and how did that whole thing come to be?
So when I retired, it was hard really to get adjusted back into everyday life, because
I would imagine.
Yeah, I had, been playing sports since, long as I can remember as I growing up when I was a kid. Yeah. And my life been on a set schedule, like every day. Like my life was already like pretty much planned out. Yeah. And so when you retire, you're like, oh man, when I retire, I'm gonna golf, I'm gonna fish, I'm gonna hunt, I'm gonna do all this stuff. But once you get that time on your hand, it's like, man, wow, it's like you don't know. I'm used to dealing with things in a short amount of time. Give me 10, 15 minutes, I know how to manage those 10, 15 minutes. 10, 15 hours, I'm lost. And so it took me a while to get adjusted. And so my agent had a couple of guys. Listen, hey, I got some guys that's going to the Senior Bowl. Would you mind showing them a few things? I'm like, yeah, no problem. And so I did that in Andrew's Exos facility. And so they came to me and said, hey, we saw what you did with those guys. Would you like to do this every year? And I'm like, yeah. And it kind of kept me around the game, but out of it at the same time. And because that's what I missed, the camaraderie. Yeah. And so I've been doing that for this my 12th year doing it. And it gives me a chance to work with some up-and-coming, amazing, talented group of guys. And the pleasure I get is because guys, they want to learn, they want to get better, but also I can see a piece of myself in those guys, like from things I've taught them. And one of the biggest, gifts is now I know it because I'm on the other side of the spectrum as a coach, is when you tell someone something and you can see them applying it to their life. Wow. Yeah. Not just sports-wise, but also I mentor these guys, and I kind of tell them the lifestyle they're about to get into is not just about football, but how to deal with certain issues, and to actually see those guys applying it to their life. Yeah, lets me know like, hey, they were listening, they were paying attention, I'm getting through to them, and the main thing is that they trust me. They trust the info that I'm giving them, and they rely on me for that. And so that's why I have to keep.
Bro, you're pastoring them. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, I got to keep making myself better. Yeah. Because people paying attention and watching what I do. Even my young two boys, they see me, coaching these guys, and even seeing the looks on their faces when they see me teaching those guys, and I tell them some similar things, and it's like one of the biggest gifts. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. How do you apply kind of what we talked about with the mindset and even being there for each other, like that camaraderie? I joked with you a couple weeks ago because I saw the facility that they have at Andrews is like incredible. But I met you at the YMCA, and I'm like, bro, why are you working out in here at the YMCA with dudes like me? And you were like, well, because I'm not trying to get hurt. Like if I work out over there with these young guys,
totally, man, different ball game.
And I was like, hey, if I can serve you like that, like that's fine. And my mediocre workouts and stuff like that. If that's a ministry to you, then I'll take it. But how do you take that mindset of winning and winning as us to these guys, because you only have them for such a brief moment? Like how do you interpret that to them?
It's the hard truth, right? From day one I tell guys, listen, I'm here to help. right? But helping you also means giving you constructive criticism, right? Telling you when you're wrong, you being able to listen and trust what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But also understand, I think the main thing is like, this year I had, like 16 guys. But listen, we're going to have fun. We're going to work hard. And we're going to have fun doing it. But also you guys are competing against each other.
Yeah.
Right? So is the main thing. Like, you guys are going to be working out together, doing everything together, but also you're competing against each other.
Yeah.
But I want you guys to build a friendship and build a bond, right? And it's almost like growing up with siblings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You fight all the time, argue, whatever. But at the end of the day, you got each other's back.
Yeah.
And so that's how I have to instill to these guys. Listen, I'm here to help you guys to the best of your ability to get better. But also, you guys competing against each other, and I have to give my honest opinion to NFL teams when they call an ass. So understanding the truth.
Yeah.
And I tell guys, listen, you have to have thick skin because now it's a business. It's not all about being the best, right? You can be the best, and it's not enough. Are you the right fit?
Yeah.
It's a totally different thing.
Totally different conversation.
Yes, and so that's why I try to teach and instill these guys, like, you can have all the accolades, this and this and that, but are you the right fit to go into a certain locker room? And that makes a difference. And so just giving that hard.
It's not just being the right player, it's being the right person.
Being the right person.
Like
exactly
you have to
right.
be both. You have to be both those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to use a phrase: "Plain speech is easily understood." And I'm the type of guy where if I'm doing something wrong or if I'm doing something dumb, like, you don't have to be like, "Hey, Brian, that was a real good message."
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, Brian, like, you don't have to compliment sandwich me.
Yeah.
You can just be like, "Hey, don't do that again. That's not going to work."
Yeah.
And I'm like, check.
Yeah.
And I think that's good, but it takes, like what you're saying, it takes that that development of being able to receive criticism. And you said something that's really good. They trust you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be careful with some criticism because everybody's got opinions, and they want to share it with you.
Yeah.
But I tell people I'll receive criticism from people who love me, people who believe in me, and people who know more than I know.
Yeah.
Right? If you meet those categories, say whatever you want to say to me. You know what I mean? But I mean, we live in a world where, like, people are real ready to give you their opinion.
They're ready to give it to you. Exactly.
And so it's really great to have someone I want to invest in you because I believe in you.
Yes.
And you might not like everything that I have to say, but if you want to be better, like, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
And it takes people in your life to be able to do that.
It does.
So
it does.
that's awesome, man.
Yes.
I want to talk just for a second. We can wrap it up here and land here. You have 2 sons?
Yes.
I have 2 daughters.
Okay.
Right? So we're both dads.
Yes.
How do I take this and apply this idea to my children? Because like I think more than anything, I really want to be a good dad.
Yes.
And I feel like I am not. I struggle with that all the time. Like I get so frustrated with myself from how I might relate to my children or how maybe I'm not as patient.
Yeah.
Maybe I could invest more, but I'm not, or I feel distracted or whatever. Like, man, ultimately I want to be a great dad.
Yeah.
Like how do you take that and instill it into your sons? I love how you're mentioning them watching you coach.
And I think, just showing them, just by example, letting them know exactly what I do. It's all about being detailed, instead of, and I'll tell you what, I got it from my wife when my oldest son was born, that she'd be like, "Oh, mommy's about to open the door. Mommy's opening the refrigerator door. Mommy's picking up a book." And I'm like, "Why you keep saying it like that?"
Yeah.
But now I know that's what I tell my kids. I listen, instead of me saying, "Listen, hey, I'll be back. Dad is going to work." I tell them what that work is. Dad, I got to go. Some guys to train. That you're gonna see on TV.
Yeah.
You guys are going to meet them, and so it's more detail, and kids pick up on like the finer little details.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing a lot with that, and also we watched a movie a while back, and we saw a commercial for it on Netflix the other day. Yes Day. It was about kids have a yes day, and their parents have to say yes to whatever
really?
whatever they want. And
that sounds like a nightmare for me, bro.
Yeah. And so we
Sounds
tried
expensive.
it. Oh my gosh, we tried it, man. But you really learn what your kids like.
Ooh, what they value.
What they really like and what they value. Instead of me and my wife always trying to pick and try to assume what they want to do, we let them say, look, hey, what do you want to do? What do you guys want to do? What do you like? What do you want to eat?
Yeah.
And so I asked them, like, look, what do you want to cook for dinner? You know what I mean? Whatever. And make them feel like there's some of value.
Yeah.
And I've been doing that a lot. And, it's especially with two boys because they both opposite. One likes this, one likes that.
Man, isn't that weird?
It is
I have
weird.
two little girls, and I thought for sure they'd be carbon copies of each other. They could not be more different.
It's totally opposite. But just doing little things like that and just not trying to, still be a dad, not smother them, but also value what they say, their opinions, and see what they want to do. And just learn from them, and we've been able to have open conversations, open dialogue. And I know when they don't ask questions, like we go like a couple of days and they don't ask questions about anything, that's when I really got to dive into them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to.
Like something's going on.
Yeah, something going on.
For some reason, they're feeling that they should be distant from me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so now I know them when they're at that point, when they do ask questions, I know. But when something seems off, I don't go and like kind of reprimand them and to be hard on like, hey, everything all right? What's going
let's
on?
have a
You know what I mean?
conversation.
Let's have a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, my oldest daughter's 8 years old.
Okay.
And the other day, she was just having a rough day, and I said, let's go for a walk.
Yeah.
And, she's 8, and she just unloaded this enormous emotional tirade that I wasn't fully prepared for at 8 years old. I didn't know it was going to be like this.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I could think to do is like, I'm just going to be here.
Yeah.
I'm going to let her hold my little hand. We're going to take a walk around the block, and she's going to tell me that she had a rough day, and I'm going to say like, me too sometimes.
Yeah.
And just try to be there when, because not all the time do my kids want me there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I want to be there when they want me there, and I feel like I have to be aware of what's going on in their life or what's going on with them, not in a hovering way, but like I just got to be aware of what's going on so I can be there when my voice can be the loudest. And sometimes my voice isn't that loud. Like sometimes I'll be like, "Girls, we're gonna do this," and like it's a whoosh. Like I didn't even say it. You know what I mean? And so when my voice is loud, like I want it to be saying the right stuff. It's good. Man, thanks so much for hanging out with me.
Oh man, no problem, man. I really enjoyed it, man. This is awesome, man.
This is good. It's inspirational, encouraging. I love it. Hey guys, run to win. Thanks for tuning in. Come hang out with us live at the Levin Studio YMCA at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings, and we'll see you later.